I was out for a week, had a conversation today with Forrest about what's going on in the market. Forrest, tell me your thoughts, man. Let's talk about it. Let's have the conversational market update.
Yeah, definitely. So as we talked about earlier, we're at a pretty interesting inflection point where Bitcoin is on some pretty serious support. And I like the fact that what you were talking about in terms of timing. So we're right now I'm talking to the guy who predicted both in terms of time of the year, both of the biggest drops in Bitcoin in the overall market right now, right? You got sell in May, go away, and Rectember, completely right. And now we're in a situation where the market's a little bit dicey. The Bitcoin's had this kind of Rectember 1.0, right? And Bill, do you want to talk to us about Rocktober?
Yes, let's talk. Let's talk Rocktober. So, are we ready for a repeat? A repeat of what? Well, of Rectember in Rocktober, and possibly of 2008. So back to Token Metrics 2.0. There was ever a case to be checking the coins that you like on our visual trends indicator, now would be that time. Also, right before I get started, this is what we call the market update, where I go through some slides, maybe talk about it with Forrest. We also have something called Token Metrics TV. Now, there's shilling and giving you good information. Token Metrics TV has been around. I talk about it sometimes on the show. With Rocktober coming up, it's going to be worth your time and money to get this market update every day because of what could unfold in the future. Now, as Forrest graciously said, when pressed for review back in January as to crystal ball how the year would go, this was the guess. It was using traditional equity market seasonals, January up, sell in May and go away, come back for the summer rally, July, August. Okay, get out at Labor Day for Rectember, 1929 and 1987. The highs were right after Labor Day, just like in crypto. September is Rectember, followed by Rocktober, which I haven't talked much about. Now, one of the other things I said at that point was crypto is used to all the way up, all the way down, right? It's a bull market, and then it's a bear market, and it goes to zero. We sit around by the fire for 2 years, and then we come back later. And I suggested something else might be in our future, like the wild consolidation inside of a box or a triangle, okay? So it's euphoria, despair, euphoria, oh, thank God the bull market's back on again, and then, oh my God, it's really over, that's the end. Then after that, it goes to the moon and beyond. So let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is probably making one of these new to crypto diagonal formations. There might be a burst above 45K. All I can say about any rally from here on out is that I'm using it to raise cash. So it's not investment advice. It's what I'm doing. Now, what I think could happen here is because of Evergrande. That is this huge real estate firm in China, okay, that may go bankrupt. I can talk more about that later. But when it comes to Bitcoin, because I know you care about this, I am starting to wonder whether Rocktober can mean a retest of 20K. Does anybody remember back in the day where everyone was like, ooh, can we break 20K? Are we ever going to see 20K again? That was back in 2019, 2018. Will we ever see it again? Well, I'm going to ask the same question. It went straight through 20K and we never saw it again. And if you just took this chart and didn't know it was Bitcoin, somebody who, might have read 60 pages in the book would say, it never retested that big support point, that big resistance point at 20K. Could that happen? Yes. Why? Well, Evergrande is a firm in China that does real estate. They have $300 billion in debt. They've been borrowing money in the bond market and using it to pay dividends to equity holders in the stock market. Sound familiar? Sound like a scam? Only the crypto audience would probably get that right away. So if the Chinese go, you know what? We're not bailing out this company, and we don't know who's holding all that debt, Bitcoin and other assets like stocks could all go down together. Crypto decouples at the end of the month, but Bitcoin testing 20K is a possibility. Now let's look at ETH. ETH is making sort of a diagonal formation, right? Sort of a parallel channel. And one thing I noticed in ETH is something I noticed when I was charting for a big investment bank back in 2008. Ethereum seemed to pull up short of the 200-day moving average, right? It went to 2,700, but it couldn't go to 2,600. You're like, what's up with that? Well, obviously, no one wants to sell Ethereum on a correction. No one wants to sell at 2,700 because there's a compelling bullish case. But when you have these like black swan, these unfolding black swans, because remember, back in 2008, it wasn't an overnight event. It took a long time to unfold. When you pull up short of an important support point, if that point gets broken, the ensuing downside could be very sharp. So for ETH, I'm kind of hoping there's a move to 3,300 or 3,500. Okay, so there could be a bounce, right? But what should you be thinking on that bounce? You should be thinking about protecting yourself. Also of note in Ethereum, back in 87 and 29, it took 55 days to go from the Labor Day top in early September to the bottom at the end of October. We suspect that if there's a down move in the market, it could end in October around the 29th or the 30th. So again, what are you doing between now and then? Well, we had sell in May and go away. We had Rectember, and in technical analysis, things happen in threes. Okay? So we've got to be careful, and we have to use our imagination, because in research, you get paid for imagination. And unfortunately, in this case, this is what we have to ask ourselves. How bad could it get? And how ready do we want to be to buy in October and not get wrecked early in the month? Now, let's talk total crypto market cap. Total crypto market cap hit resistance at around 2.4 trillion. Okay, so even with all the layer ones mooning, all right, total crypto market cap couldn't break out, obviously, because Bitcoin couldn't break out, right? Now, let's talk stocks. Who's guilty of crying wolf with, oh no, stocks could go down? Yeah, I've done it a couple times, probably more than a couple times. Now, in this particular case, with a possible black swan, here's how I want to do stocks. Stocks are forming a head and shoulders top pattern, except the neckline is downward sloping, not upward sloping. That's very rare, and it's even more rare that it works even if it appears. Now, sparing you the huge chart lecture, all right, if equities start to go down and there's a very limited bounce once it breaks that neckline, it can result in really accelerated downside. So just like in ETH, where there was a formation where you're like, this breaks 2,600, it could really go. The same thing exists in equities. Now, for stocks, here's a question. This company in China has $300 billion in debt. And I saw a recent news article that Credit Suisse's risk management department was bragging that their systems beeped and that company sold all the Evergrande debt that it had. And my question is, who did they sell it to? Who's got all this debt that's probably going to go to zero. We don't know. And uncertainty is the enemy of legacy markets, and it can hurt crypto. Because remember, altcoins require a steady flow of money into the system in order to maintain values. If that flow gets interrupted by a 30-day black swan, I want you, our valued readers, listeners, viewers, and customers to be protected. This is a rare instance where I'd rather miss a bottom, because my personal cardinal rule is never miss a bottom. Never get bearish when it's turning bullish. I'm going to sort of break that rule because of Rocktober. QQQ, NASDAQ 100, same thing. Okay. Looks like big players were selling to small players, and that red line is the 50-day moving average. No crisis yet, but if you start to see these things break, these stock indexes break, you know something is coming, and it could hurt crypto. Now, VIX, fear in equities. In these crisis periods, people go, oh my God, everything's fine. Oh my God, everything's fine. And we go back and forth. So first, the fear index was at 18, and then it went to 28. Everybody was afraid while I was on vacation. I thought I was going to have to cancel my vacation. And then it turns around and goes back down, and everything is okay. Well, I don't think anything is okay. I talked to our chief quant guy, and you have to be careful here that people are, oh, everything is okay. Now, for MicroStrategy, a stock you guys know I like because it's so tied to Bitcoin. This is Michael Saylor's company. There was a head and shoulders bottom. There was a bullish flag. It should have gone up. But what did it do? It went down. So this has got me a little bit concerned. DeFi perp, DeFi futures contract is still below its 200-day moving average. Man, I would love it if it would burst back above it. But right now, that's not what's happening. Risky assets may be telling you that Rectember is going to turn into Rocktober, and nobody wants to get caught in that. Sushi Swap, a coin that we've liked for various reasons, as I understand it, may have a problem with hacks and governance. Okay. This thing hit its 50-day moving average and bounced and came back off. Okay. And I would definitely be leery of this going forward based on the changes in the charts and the fundamentals. Now, back to legacy. I really hope that all this stuff is not a problem. We'll go into some altcoins in a minute. So smash that like button because I know you want to see the altcoins. One thing I wanted to show you is just how far Chinese equities, particularly the ones traded in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index, HSI, if you've got it in TradingView. HSI is in a 5-wave down. What does a 5-wave mean? Well, that means if given the catalyst, it can just sort of go and go and go. So I was like, gee, I wonder if Chinese stocks can go back to their 2008 low. Now that's like, well, Bill, that's crazy. I want to fade you and buy it. I don't blame you for wanting to fade me. But the thing is, China doesn't care about what happens in its securities markets the way we do. The Chinese are like, oh, well, some speculators are going to go bankrupt. Well, okay. Gee, and that could wreck the U.S. stock market? They're like, well, okay. You know, the Chinese character for crisis is a mixture of danger and opportunity. They're a lot more, they can tolerate a lot more pain than we can. This is something that you want to consider when you're doing altcoin investing. Now, let's say you've got Luna and AVAX, right? And you're like, I'm buying Solana on the dip. I like this market. I say, okay, I don't blame you. But just remember, back in 2008, people thought they were safe in certain assets. And when you have an event like this where big banks or there's like this black swan systemic event, no one is safe anywhere. Okay? So this is gold from back in 2008. Now you're like, wait a minute. I thought gold should go up in a financial crisis. And a lot of people thought that. They bought gold, and guess what? It went from 1,000 to 720. Now, it eventually went back up, which is what I think is going to happen to crypto. So there is no safe place in a black swan, and protecting yourself is important.
Token Metrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.